Hey, this is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly, back for another review. It's been a few weeks since I've done one of these. I was actually ahead of Wes. Anyway, this week I'm going to review a series that I just finished last night that came out in 2020 on HBO Max called Lovecraft Country. Now, is it a horror show? Is it a science fiction show? Is it a fantasy show? Is it about equal rights? Is it about how poorly we've treated African Americans in this country? It's about all of them. It's sort of, not really, but kind of, if you've watched them, I reviewed them. This is the pulp version kind of that. It does take certain things from Lovecraft, but most of those things are just taken in the first few episodes and it goes off on its own thing. I enjoyed it so much, but it does get a little, how should I say, convoluted. It's pulp. So what I mean by pulp is, pulp fiction. Where that comes from is pulp novels. It was the cheap paper that they printed these fantasy stories on back in the 30s and 40s and the 20s. And that's where this is pulp, like pulp fiction. And it's created by Misha Green. She does an excellent job. She wrote most of the episodes. It's stars Jonathan Majors, Courtney B. Vance, Journey Smollett, Michael Kenneth Williams, who just passed on. You know him as Chalky in Boardwalk Empire, and also he was in The Wire. Did I love it? Yes, I love the show. Is it convoluted as hell? Yes. So basically, this young guy named Atticus, we follow him as he's going across America. That takes place in the 50s, with a lot of Jim Crow, which is unfortunate, which plays into the backdrop of the story. And we follow him as he's looking for his missing dad, and his uncle joins along, and his uncle writes these books for African Americans so that they're able to travel. They could stop at this place and this place safe, and he has to go on these trips to figure out where safe for people to go, because this is true. And we were right in the middle of Jim Crow, especially the Jim Crow South, and they had these towns called sundown towns where it was illegal for an African American to be there after sundown. I mean, this is our history. So part of it's a historical lesson, part of it's fantasy, part of there's ghosts, there's other dimensions, there's creatures, there's Lovecraft, and there's time travel, and there's everything but the kitchen sink in this. And did I enjoy it? Yes. I know I keep saying this. I really like it. It's up my alley. I just want you to know it's not perfect. But what I liked about it is the pulpiness of it, is it doesn't stop. At the end of the second episode, you're like, oh, well, you could have ended the series there. And then there's 8 more episodes. So that's kind of how the show goes. It just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. I mean, we end up in Korea finding out about a creature there, right? Because the Korean War was going on. I really recommend it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The acting's pretty good. Michael Williams is fantastic. A couple of the other ones, Courtney B. Vance is awesome. A couple of the other ones, but for the most part, the acting's really good. It's a little off kilter from time to time. And some of you are going to be, what the hell? What the hell? Every third or fourth 20-minute, 30-minute interval throughout the series. Is 10 episodes long. The question I have is, and Wes, don't get on to me, it's not the third act, the main ending. I like how it ends, but there's a little tacked on thing that a little girl does to one of our main bad guys that I thought, really, did we have to do that? My good friend James Thomas loved it's based on a book by Matt Ruff, who's an American author. I've never read it. James has, and just adores it. He says the series just can't get close to a book. Of course, if you ever had a quarter for every time you've heard that. I may read the book now. So if you get a chance, check out Lovecraft Country. It has everything but the kitchen sink in it. For all you people who love horror, fantasy, science fiction, time travel, it's all in there. Check it out. So check out Lovecraft Country. I really recommend it. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly.